So hi everyone. I've decided to do this month's blog post in video format because I wanted to demonstrate a really cool feature that I found in Google Chrome for modifying and debugging styles on certain events. So I've had a task recently to customize and modify the WooCommerce Ajax spinner that's loaded in on the checkout. And I had an issue where I couldn't style the element because it was being loaded in a few seconds and then removed like in a very short space of time, so I couldn't grab it and customize it in the inspector panel. So I sort of researching a way to be able to pause the browser at this event, and I found that the JavaScript debug tool, which is in the inspector panel, allows you to do just that. So right here I've got the WooCommerce storefront theme. It's just the generic shop theme that they have on their website. And if I scroll down, just choose an image, choose a product here for example, if I add it to the cart and click checkout. On the checkout form, if I click the place order button, you see a little spinner appear just here. It might look different for your type of configuration. Apart from the validation that's appearing, I basically want to style the spinner to modify it in some way, maybe change the color or change the icon. How do I do that? Right, so what you have to do is in Chrome, if you open up the inspect panel, if I just get this in view a little bit here. So I have I know that the Ajax spinner is loading right in the center of this form, so I've selected the form. It could be any other part of this entire structure, but the other div elements that you see inside here relate to other parts of the form, for example, the info block and the coupon block. So I know it's happening here. You can also use the little icon to select an element and sort of hover through till you got your mouse over the entire container. So now if I click place an order, you see there, I don't know if you saw it, the little spinner here. And notice in Chrome, the actual classes and the form itself is being changed in JavaScript. So if I click this, there you go, a load of little purple variables appeared, and that's basically Chrome's way of telling you that the DOM, which is what you're seeing in here, is being live updated. And I want to style the spinner, and I can't grab it because it's gone before I've had a chance, right? So a really cool feature you can do is if you right click on the parent element, I'll just make it a bit more visible here. If you hover down to break on and choose attribute modifications or subtree, subtree is actually anything inside this element itself, and the attribute is on the parent element. So if I choose subtree modifications, if I just move the mouse off that line, you'll see a little blue dot appear, which actually shows me that there's a breakpoint at this particular moment as it hits there. So right now, if I just reduce this down a bit, if I now click the place order button, suddenly Chrome puts this overlay on the screen, and it actually shows, it says paused in debugger, and it takes me directly into the sources part of the panel, which is where the JavaScript is located. And this is generally for debugging JavaScript. And because you can also debug CSS, but this is particularly about doing Ajax. On the place order button, the spinner is loading because WooCommerce is doing an Ajax call. So it's taken me into the JavaScript file that handles the Ajax, which is the jQuery file, and that's been minified down. You can actually click the icon down here with the little brackets. When you do that, it tries to unminify it, pretty print, it unminifies all the JavaScript that you see. And because this is jQuery that's been minified, it's not that easy to read, and it's not really intentional for you to read that. But on the button next to the pause play, this blue one, you can click step over next function call. And as I click this button, you can see in real time jQuery initializing and compiling the variables in the DOM. And I mean, there's a lot going on here. So what I found is if you click the pause play button, resume script execution, if you just click it a few times, there we go. The loader is displayed now on the page. So this is exactly the point where I want to start styling the element. So if I now click the select icon, notice the overlay in Chrome goes away. That's really useful if that little overlay is getting in your way. So now if I click that icon there, I've actually pinpointed the exact icon itself, which is a pseudo element, a before element on this block overlay class. So the block overlay is handling the actual this overlay that you see here. And notice the grey overlay that Chrome has put on the debug option is still there. You can actually click this element and then it goes away, so you're seeing it as if you were on the website. So I can start adding in some modifications here. So for example, if I change the background to red, it's a horrible shade of red at the moment, but I can just, maybe I'll change it to a nice blue colour. And then I can tweak, say, change the opacity a little bit to something a bit darker. So it's really cool, I can customize this. What I'd really like to do would be to change the icon. So if I click on the before element, and notice that this is actually a font that's being displayed, and it's loaded in as Font Awesome, which is Font Awesome is part of the storefront theme, it's part of WooCommerce. And if I go, I can actually go to Font Awesome, and I can have a look at the icon sets they use there. Another clue is if you look at the content, it starts with /F, and that's Font Awesome's icon naming. So I can actually search for 110 or F110 as it is, and this is the spinner. So we know that there's actually a slight styling difference. This spinner has larger dots in it. That might be because WooCommerce has loaded a completely customized Font Awesome style set. We don't really know. So the first thing I can do is if I just clear that, and I can search through this list to try and find an icon. Say, let's choose the Apple icon here. So the icon is F179. I can go in and change this little icon here to 179, hit enter. And now, oops, it's still highlighted. As you can see, the little Apple icon is loaded in. I'm just going to actually take that opacity down because it's really hard to see at the moment. Not that much. There we go. And change the colour of this actual element to black, just to make it a little bit easier to see. So there we go. We've got the little Apple icon spinning around in the DOM. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bump up the font size, maybe make it quite big so it's really prominent on screen. And the great thing about this Ajax spinner is it's taken over the entire window. So if your customer is further down the page, this Ajax should always be visible in the centre of the page because the left and top are set at 50%. So first thing you might notice is that the icon, the Apple, is actually off skew, it's not centered. So what I'll work on is trying to customize this so it sort of spins centrally. So the best way I've found to do this, if you set the background color to like a bright color like red, the idea is to try and get the box that this little font is sitting in to match exactly the same size as the font. So I can do that by setting the height to maybe 120 pixels. As you can see there, it's more visible. Set the width to also 120. Let's see what we get. So yeah, it's off center, and as it's spinning, it's quite hard to sort of modify. So if I turn off the animation, there we go. So as you can see, the line height is wrong. The Apple needs to come down. So if I set the line height to something like 120. Actually, I want it between the two. I can set it to 125. Make sure the text is centrally aligned. that looks pretty good. So if I turn on the animation again, you can see it's a little bit better, maybe. It's a little bit skewed. So just a case of just holding up and down, try and get that centrally aligned. That's looking pretty good. I can also just tweak these numbers a little bit, try and get them a little bit better. That's looking pretty smooth. Yeah, that's probably like, I mean, I could spend hours on this, making it perfect and getting the right colours and stuff, but it's just an idea to show you how you can customise it. And I realised that if I set this to alternate, it can go back and forth, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's how you can customise the Ajax spinner. But a really important thing to note is that I'm actually adding the customizations here on the element itself. So for example, this, as you can see, it says element.style. If you look down here, I'm actually adding inline styles. So if I were to click the little plus icon here and try and style the block UI overlay, if I set its background to red, it's not going to actually change because the element styles, inline element styles added by JavaScript are overriding the class. So you have to use important wherever you want to add custom classes. And just mute that down a bit. So yeah, make sure you use important on everything, otherwise it's not going to pick up your changes. So now if I close the inspector and then if I click place order, I can see my customization is still there, still remembered in the browser, which is really cool. So you can try it out on different screen sizes and see how it looks. So yeah, that's my tip on how to use the Chrome JavaScript debug tool. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please let me know any thoughts or comments below. Thank you.